What's going on, everybody? Welcome, and I'm looking at the wrong camera. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day on my laptop. That's why I was looking at the wrong camera. It's set up in the normal spot, but my laptop is not where my computer normally is. But Joshua, today is the day before the eve of the 53-man roster announcement. And, if possible, I think we're definitely going to try and go live if we can, when the final roster gets announced. But today we're doing our overall prediction, our 53-man roster prediction. Have a ton of fun doing this because, there's so many guys that everybody loves. So, in the chat, kind of help us out. If you think, oh, I think you're wrong on this guy, we may change our potential. I have mine fully written out. But Joshua, how are you feeling? There was some Ravens news today. Luckily, none of that news affected my 53-man roster prediction that I made. I made it last night. I did it in, the Ravens app. And, of course, it doesn't save. Then I had to write it all down again. But Tony Jefferson has been some news, is being released, which I expected to happen. But I see Don C's in here. I see we got Andre in here. Joshua, how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. Here in Baltimore, school started back for all the kids. So all the parents out here that, had kids start school today or maybe even next week at the Labor Day, cherish those moments, man. Love them. And make sure y'all take lots of pictures. But, today is the day. If I was Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, I don't want to say Gregory Roman, Mike Mcdonald, T and Keith, and the rest of the company, it's a lot of hard decisions because, at 4:30 tomorrow, you got to get it down to a 53-man roster. You only had 3 preseason games. You had guys that's been hurt and, a little banged up and beat up, so they haven't been able to showcase all their talent. So, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of guys on the outside looking out. I believe in total in the NFL, it's going to be either 854 or 864 men that are either going to be out of a job, picked up off of waivers, maybe even, go overseas and play a little bit of football, or maybe just have to find a regular job till the season is over. So, it's a lot of hard decisions that has to be made. But, hey, this is the NFL. You get to, granted, it is a child sport, but being able to do, something that you love for a career and be able to, to earn some money off it too, this is the risk and the reward of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of the process, I'm thinking, rather than just going through every single player that we have on our roster prediction, I think we go through positions, we give ours, but we'll talk about all the guys that you guys bring up in the chat. So don't worry. We're not just only going to talk about the players that, I have on my 53-man roster, but, I think let's just jump right into it. Start off with the most obvious, the kicker position, Justin Tucker.
Yeah, that's solid.
I think the special teams, we don't really need to talk about. Justin Tucker, Jordan Stout, Nick Moore. I think that's very simple. I see Yolanda's in here. How you doing, Yolanda? Welcome into the stream. But quarterback. Now, I really want, if I did a 53-man roster that said who should make the team, there's no way Tyler Huntley is in this list. Like, Tyler Huntley is out the door. Like, I'm cutting him right now.
I agree.
But I got Tyler Huntley backing up Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, I have to say unfortunately because I love Anthony Brown and what he brings, to the Ravens. But do you think there's any chance that we have 3 quarterbacks and try and save Anthony Brown and maybe trade him potentially later in the season, or is he a hope no one picks up?
I see honestly, between practice squad and Anthony Brown and maybe being one of those guys that we hope that we don't that doesn't get picked up. I mean, honestly, there still is opportunities for second string quarterbacks, to be in someone's facility. Drew Lock obviously has lost his job. Geno Stone will be starting week 1. And I know the Seahawks are on a rebuilding period. Even though Carson Wentz will be the starter for the Commanders, Sam Howell did put up a pretty good he did pretty good at playing against us. I will give him his credit. I will give him his respect. But everybody may still be so gung-ho over Tyler Huntley, but there's some people I'm pretty sure there's some people that's been calling us and trying to see what's going on and seeing what we're willing to do with him. But I definitely see it's a possibility we may have 3 QBs on this year's roster.
Yeah, because I don't know. when you're doing the 53, it's really difficult because it seems so easy because you talk about a player and you're like, yes, they should make the team.
Yeah.
And if I did that and said like, yes, they should make the team, I think my roster would probably be around 60, 62 players.
Yeah.
So I got like 9 players that I really didn't want to cut. Anthony Brown was one of those guys where I was like, I really don't want this guy to go, but unfortunately, it was more valuable to keep other positions. Guys like linebackers and,
Yeah, I
potentially
was
some
saying.
extra wide receivers. But, I think quarterback, it's relatively easy to do, even though not a huge fan of it. But let's get into the running backs. Joshua, who do you think are the running backs day one on the depth chart or on the roster?
Day one on the roster, I have J.K., Mike Davis, and I'm gonna go with Tyler Beatty.
Okay. I got 4 running backs, actually.
Okay.
I've added in Justice Hill. I think
For team purposes.
Yeah, I think just special teams purposes. And I think when we get Gus Edwards back, I think if we're gonna cut, we may cut Beatty before we cut Justice Hill. Depending on if Beatty becomes our kick returner, punt returner, because Duvernay may stay at those spots, but don't know 100% who's going to be our kick and punt returner. So unless he's doing that role, he's not big enough to really play special teams at a high level. He's really small. So I don't trust him as a gunner. So unless he's doing those kick and punt returns, I see Gus Edwards knocking him off the roster. But if he is doing it, I see Mike Davis getting the boot.
I see Mike Davis actually getting traded during midseason. I mean, if he does well enough for us, which in our offense, I feel like he will. I feel like someone will be calling, knocking the door. I mean, we all know that Eric DeCosta is very aggressive in making midseason moves. So instead of cutting Mike Davis, who will be a valuable running back to someone's offense, I think they might try to see who's willing to take him.
Yeah, and Raven Ron, I think the problem is, I was looking through it when I was looking at all these players. I really only capped about 3 or 4 players that'll be true special teamers. And I think Justice Hill is one of those players where you don't have to look at him as a running back. I could have created a separate position that just said, yeah, they play special teams and just thrown them in there. But I was like, I'll just keep him at the running back spot. I don't expect him to run the ball. I don't really expect. Honestly, I think Justice Hill's going to get carries before Tyler Beatty is on the roster. I just don't see Beatty getting that much action early on, based off of what we saw in the preseason and what we've seen out of him so far. I still love the Beatty pick. I have no problems with it, but Justice Hill looked improved.
I mean, he definitely was running north and south. I mean, granted, it would have took them 5 years to do it, but hey, or 3, whatever the case may be, he's doing it. So I mean, no, I can't be mad at it. So I mean, hey, if he comes out to be the Oklahoma, he was
Oklahoma State.
If he comes out to be the Oklahoma State Justice Hill, third change of pace type of guy, by all means, I welcome it to this revolving offensive scheme that we're going to have on this year.
Yeah, and I have Tyler Beatty making the roster D3. So, McCrary, I think, is hurt, and I would love to see McCrary on the deal. So, overall,
he's still on a reserve deal with us. So
yeah. So I think I'm thinking I think Justice Hill's a lock to make the team. Honestly, I just don't see Tyler Beatty. He's a 6th round pick. Yeah, and I like the pick, but he doesn't add value in the special team. So if we keep 3 backs, which is unlikely because the Ravens basically always have 4 running backs, I think Beatty's the first one out. But even saying that, J.K. Dobbins is probably not going to be 100% week 1. He may be able to play. We don't know 100%. So I think we have to keep 4 running backs to start the season because we may not we're not putting JK on the pup list because then he'll miss the first 4 weeks, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
He may miss the first game or something like that, which I think could be a situation where, okay, then we definitely need 3 running backs because if someone goes down, I do not want, maybe we could throw Tyree Phillips in there at running back, but other than that, I don't want anybody else running the football.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um,
I
the
think
next fullback.
easiest.
Yeah, I got Mr. Ben Mason. Just kidding. Patrick Ricard. Patrick Ricard in at fullback. Let's do the tight ends. I combined tight end and fullback, and I kept 4. I kept Andrews, Likely, Boyle, and Project Pat. I don't know if Kohler's going to be ready. So it's a situation where I think he may get thrown on, an injured list to start the season so that it allows for more roster room. Otherwise, I would keep Kohler and, have the 4 tight ends, but I just think he's injured right now and he's not going to be able to play.
Yeah, I forgot. Kohler, he got a sports hernia, right?
I think it's a hernia. Okay. But it's not a true sports hernia. It's one of those injuries where it's like, okay, it is this, but what people call the sports hernia is, I think, the procedure or something like that to get rid of the hernia or something. Okay. I don't think he has a true sports hernia, but he has a hernia injury.
Got you. So I mean, I don't know when exactly he got his I don't know exactly when he got his surgery, and I don't know the actual recovery timetable. But I mean, I definitely feel like, in the future, he will be an intricate piece to this offense. So right now, I definitely feel like we'll, maybe put him on the pup, IR list. But when it comes to tight ends, I'm seeing Mark, Nick, I'm gonna go Isaiah. I'm gonna still pick the weapon. He did keep himself, useful. He did look a step quicker as well during the preseason games as well. So
so where's Boyle?
I mean, Nick would be number 2.
Oh, did you say you're keeping Boyle?
Yeah, I'm keeping.
Oh, okay. So we got 4 tight ends. Okay. Yeah. I didn't hear Nick, and I was like, wait a minute, we're keeping the weapon over Nick Boyle now.
I wouldn't disrespect Nick Boyle like that. Honestly, if we had to make a executive move, Nick Boyle, Chuck Clark would be in a package deal to somebody's team. I'm just saying.
Potentially, yeah. And I see D3 says Oliver's gone. Unfortunately, I think I agree with that. I see Tanya in here. How you doing, Tanya?
What's going on, Tanya?
Yeah, and Raven Ron, that's the question. So, I do think Mike Davis to start the season is going to be the number 1. I don't know if JK plays week 1. If he does play, I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split. And then, kind of work him towards kind of that 60-70% workload. But yeah, that's why I got Mike Davis, and that's why I have 4 running backs making the team, because I don't think he's going to be out till week 4. So I think we have to have him on the roster. So that was my thought process there. Let's get into wide receiver, though. Oh. I have 6 wide receivers making this roster, and I'm sorry because I don't have a lot of guys that I really like. My 6 wide receivers are Rashad Bateman. My number 2, I'll go in order, I guess. My number 2, Demarcus Robinson. Number 3, James Prochet. Number 4, Devin Duvernay. I'll say number 6 is Tylan Wallace. My number 5 wide receiver is none other than Benjamin Victor. I am sorry to Shemar Bridges, Makai Polk, Raleigh Webb. I think Benjamin Victor is the best fit right now for what we need, and he's been there the longest. I don't know. I think Benjamin Victor is just flying under the radar. He has been making plays ever since practice, a couple years ago. Should have made the roster last year. I think this year is the year he gets it in there.
You know what? I actually like that. For the simple fact, they already had the offense built around these guys, especially, Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, and Rashad Bateman being those core guys of that wide receiver group. Now you added a veteran of Demarcus Roberts, who's been in the league for over 7 years. Also, he is a champion. Did he win a championship with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, won a championship with Patrick Mahomes, and also has familiarity in the AFC and burning some of the best corners as well. And he can also be on the outside. So, that definitely gives us a little up right there. And actually having Tylan Wallace, it does make sense because he still is a good wide receiver. He does have potential. Unfortunately, when he did get into the preseason games, they try to use him like Devin Duvernay. He's not that type of guy. He's not a gadget guy. He's a wide receiver. His best comp is Steve Smith Sr. If we're being completely honest. Now Ben Victor, if Jalen Moore was here and Ben Victor was still here, either one of them would make sense because they both been both been here the longest. We know of their work. We know their body of work. Ben Victor was literally he's the Deshaun Elliott of the offense. You saw so much potential, but he was a guy that could not stay healthy. So maybe Makai Polk or maybe even Shemar Bridges is still kept on the practice squad.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people saying we're keeping 5 receivers potentially long term, but right now Tylan Wallace, Devin Duvernay, and Prochet are all not practicing and are all injured. So if we kept 5, I'm assuming Duvernay and Prochet are in there. I assume they're ready for week 1, but they haven't practiced for a while. Duvernay might have returned today, but I'm pretty sure Prochet's been out. So it's we can't go into week 1 with 3 wide receivers. Or even, it could be potentially 2 wide receivers if the injuries linger. So that's why I had to keep 6.
Yeah, and take it a step further, the wide receiving group looks like the corner group. Very overpopulated like it was last year. Granted, the corners, we traded away pieces, and then next thing you know, when the season started, everybody just started going down like flies. We already have wide receivers going down. They haven't been practicing, so it's best to keep 6. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure we're not going to do 7, but it would be in our best interest to keep 6 wide receivers for this upcoming season, just to be on the safe side, because we still, we're trying to get over that injury bug, but it's still lingering around.
Yeah, I think we got to keep more guys just because it's a situation where we don't know who's healthy, and we're going to be able to keep a lot of those guys on the practice squad in case other guys aren't healthy. But the roster's due tomorrow, and if Prochet and Duvernay and Wallace are all hurt, the expectation is they'll be ready for week 1. But you got to have someone to at least be on the roster and practicing just in case those linger. And my guy is Benjamin Victor. I love his game too much in comparison to the other guys. But would you change anything, Joshua? Would you go 5 receivers, 6 receivers? Would you add in Shemar, Raleigh, Makai?
Only way I'll add in Shemar or Raleigh if we put James and Devin Duvernay or maybe even Tylan Wallace on a PUP list. That's the only way. That's the only way we can make room and get these guys time to really get their bodies ready and get it back in game time. Game stamina.
Yeah, and we may have to address this because there's been a lot of people talking about Lamar Jackson liked to tweet with him photoshopped in a Miami Dolphins uniform. And Lamar Jackson is being very active on Twitter right now, talking about things. Guys, people like tweets all the time.
It's not
also it's a good Photoshop. It looks good. He may have just seen it and been like, boom. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Liked tweets. I think Ravens fans overreact, guys. You overreact way too much. It's okay to like other, tweets and random stuff and comment. Lamar Jackson wants to stay in Baltimore. That's his entire message is he wants to stay in Baltimore. And also, if the Ravens let Lamar Jackson go and Tyler Huntley starts for an entire season, I think it would be the worst decision a franchise has made in a very long time.
If they let Lamar Jackson go, they're going to they'll try their best to trade up and get Malik Cunningham.
I would love to see if the Ravens didn't have him, go after Bryce Young. Go after Bryce Young.
If you go after Bryce Young or even a CJ Stroud,
problem with CJ Stroud is he's coming out of Ohio State. The problem. Okay, a lot of people don't. The reason why Ohio State quarterbacks struggle in the NFL, because a lot of them come out and they struggle. Ohio State is one of the few schools that runs an option wide receiver based offense. Every route that is run is a wide receiver option route. So they always have to wait for the receiver to make their turn because they don't know 100% if they're cutting in or if they're going long. And so that's why, a lot of times they get sacked a little bit more, they can develop. I still have faith in Justin Fields, but the option routes make it extremely difficult to translate over to the NFL because they're used to having to wait and then be like, oh, they made their cut. Now are they open? In the NFL, you have to be like, this guy's going to be open when he hits this cut. I'm throwing it before he hits the cut. and then I'm releasing it and hitting him on the break. So that's why I would want CJ Stroud. But
I feel you. I mean, my whole thing is, I don't see us getting a replica of Lamar Jackson. I actually see us letting go. I actually finally see us letting go Gregory Roman, bringing in a new offensive coordinator, and maybe getting a pro style caliber type of QB.
If we lose Lamar Jackson, I'm just saying this right now, they need a reset. They need new coaches. They need new everything. Like it wouldn't be something where the Ravens lose Lamar and then it's just a situation where they're like, we'll keep Greg Roman. Let's just keep it. It's like, no, sorry, Harbaugh. Sorry, everyone. Even though I like Harbaugh, it's like, we got to hit a reset because that's rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to the 53-man roster, I felt like we should address it because a lot of people were talking about it in the chat. But the next position, the offensive line. I'll just say offensive line. I think we keep 10 offensive linemen. I don't want to keep 10, but I don't want Juwan James. That's the problem.
It makes sense. Everything it's like they're being safe and sorry this year,
And what's annoying? Okay, what annoys me about the keeping 10 offensive linemen, because a lot of people are believing that they will do it, is the reason you give Patrick Makai an extension like that is because he can play backup to every position.
Yeah.
So why keep a backup for every position? Honestly, who's our best backup left tackle? It's Patrick Makai. Who's our best backup right tackle? Patrick Makai. Who's our best backup center? Patrick Makai. So why do we keep Juwan James? If Patrick Makai can do that. Now I know we have to keep Daniel Falele because he's the developmental tackle. I think we should keep 9. And I think we keep Tyree Phillips to be our main backup left guard. Right guard would be Ben Cleveland because I think he just fits better on the right side. And then Patrick Makai, left tackle, right tackle, and center. That's what he's good at.
I was going to say, I feel like David Sharp, James Murray, Khalil McKenzie. Actually, Khalil McKenzie plays both sides of the ball. So if they switch him to defensive tackle, that's the only way he stays on the team. But I feel like those 3 definitely get cut. Unfortunately, I'm keeping Juwan. I'm keeping Juwan around. I don't feel like Ronnie Stanley's going to start week 1. Maybe we see him week 3 for the Bills game. I feel like Juwan may be starting at left tackle come week 1.
Yeah, but even week 1, I would want Makai starting. I think Makai is such an underrated tackle. He played so well at tackle. Yeah, and that's why he got the extension.
He didn't get beat much. The only thing is he's a shorter build. So it's like, he's going to go against mismatches, but he's going to do his best to, to work out. So I definitely see where you're coming from on that end.
And in June, he was playing tackle. Tyree Phillips is maybe the worst offensive tackle in the NFL. Very good guard. Very good offensive guard. That's why he's the backup left guard, in my opinion, is because he's phenomenal on the interior. He is not quick enough to play at the tackle spot.
I feel like he's better than Ben Powers. I'm gonna be honest. But
honestly, I would want him to start at left guard.
I feel like he's better than Ben Powers. Ben Powers let a lot go last year.
Yeah. No, I would love Tyree Phillips in at left guard to start the year and have Ben Powers be the backup. I would be completely okay with that. But that was kind of it on the offensive line, perspective. But let's get over to the defensive side of the ball because this is where it gets interesting. Defensive tackle. Or we'll say defensive line because it's, we'll add in, the Calais Campbells of the world. Who do you think makes the roster as, a defensive lineman?
Justin, Michael Calais. I feel like Brent gets cut. Travis Jones, he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Aaron Crawford, I feel like he may get cut. I feel like we keep Isaiah Mack.
Okay. Is Broderick on the team?
Yeah, I got Broderick.
Okay, you got Broderick. Okay, I had one guy switched out. I have no Isaiah Mack. I actually have Brent Urban on the team, being the Calais backup.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. I actually do like that.
Yeah, and overall, like once Travis Jones comes back, I think we still keep that same group because I don't think I think we need Broderick Washington just as a depth piece every week, and then we shuffle those other three guys in at the two spots, or one spot depending on what kind of defense they want to run. And Patrick, I do have a spreadsheet. The problem is then you guys would just see the whole roster.
Hold on, you said which Patrick is this?
This is Patrick Silverman. He's causing a ruckus.
My man, baby, where you been at?
Don't worry. I will show the spreadsheet at the end, everybody. Don't worry. But we're just kind of going through it initially. I will show it at the end. Do not worry. I do have a spreadsheet.
Right time.
Linebackers.
Talk about my favorite position. Let's talk about it.
All right. I'll go through my linebackers.
Okay.
I got Patrick Queen. I've got Josh Ross. I've got Josh Bynes. I've got Malik Harrison. I've got Adafe, Justin Houston, Dalen Hayes, and Steven Means.
Don't forget David. Well, David's the number.
I think David's not technically on the roster yet. Once he gets healthy, in 8 weeks or so, I think he gets added.
Yikes. Do we add Tyus?
I think Tyus is on the PUP list.
Okay.
I think he's out for the first 4 weeks, I believe.
You got Dalen? Or you
I do have Dalen.
Dang.
I kept a lot of linebackers.
but see, that's the funny thing. We was hurting at corner, linebacker, offensive line. So I actually understand why you would do that. Me personally, I'm keeping Josh Bynes. I'm keeping PQ, Malik Harrison, Josh Ross, Adafe, Justin Houston, of course. I'm going to say Dalen and Jeremiah squeezes in.
You like the Jeremiah Moon? Jeremiah Moon was a tough cut for me. That was one of those players where I really wanted him on the roster.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find a spot for him. Same with Chuck Wiley. Both of those guys, I was like, I would love to see those guys on the roster. And Dauncey, I think this is 100% right. Like in another year, I think he will be really solid.
Most definitely. He got the potential. You just got to, let the game slow down.
Adam says got 8 linebackers with Bowser and Ojabo on the PUP. Let's see. How many do I have? I have 8 as well. So same page, Adam. Who did you have did you have Josh Ross? Did you have Steven Means, Jeremiah Moon? Who did you have as kind of your non-guarantees, I'll say? I think Josh Ross is a guarantee, but
yeah, Josh Ross is definitely a guarantee just out the strength of him and Mike Mcdonald at University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Like if you're a University of Michigan guy on the defense, I'm not gonna say you're gonna have a secure spot with us, but you'll have a fighting chance.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think so. I wish we could trade Huntley. I would trade Huntley for nothing, which is just cutting him. I would easily do that, but Ravens won't do it. So Anthony Brown, we could trade, but I don't think we would get anything for Anthony Brown. I just don't see the value that other teams would see.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
If Anthony Brown was in Tyler Huntley's shoes 3 years, backing up Lamar Jackson, throwing the ball the way he's been throwing, yeah, a lot of people probably would be calling. Only reason I feel like people will call for Tyler Huntley is because he does bring a level of excitement to the offense a little bit when he steps in. He is serviceable. You put him around enough pieces, he can win you some games. You just got to put him in an offense where he doesn't have to do a lot. Just do enough to win you a game or move you down the field.
Yeah, it's just like I hate how they're going to go about it. I hate it. Because obviously I fully expect. The problem is, okay, everyone thinking like Lamar Jackson's leaving. One, the Ravens are going to franchise him twice. Lamar Jackson has 3 more years left in Baltimore.
Kirk Cousins.
at least. And Kirk Cousins, the thing about Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins got franchise tag twice in a row, then got a 100% fully guaranteed deal right after that. So why are you saying Anthony Brown? Anthony Brown wasn't terrible at Oregon. Oregon just didn't have the same roster. And also Anthony Brown's skill set is being able to throw a deep ball. That's what he brings. Ooh, this is a good one. Would you rather have Mike Mcdonald or Coach Brian Flores? I really like both of them. Thought Brian Flores was really good in Miami. The issue is I don't think Brian Flores would kind of step down. I think he was a solid head coach, but I really like Mike Mcdonald. I really want to give him a chance because I love the young hires. I love the potential of just being able to say, hey, this guy could change something because we know what Brian Flores is. He's a solid coach.
Yeah.
But, you want to bring in the guys that are like, oh, this is Kyle Shanahan. This is Sean McVay. This is Matt LaFleur, where they are very young. That's what the Ravens did with John Harbaugh as they're hiring at head coach. It's like they were like, hey, this guy's really young. Let's give him a shot. And if it doesn't work out, you can quickly fire them. And just move on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Brian Flores as well. I mean, me personally, even though, yes, he is working with Mike Tomlin, I feel like, with him working with Mike Tomlin, he is going to take that Steelers defense to another notch. Yeah, I know this is a Ravens podcast, and I'm giving the Steelers praise. Hey, at the end of the day, I still love the game of football. But still, with me being a head coach and trying to find my way back around in the NFL, it's only so many teams I'm going to be, I'm going to take an assistant job or I'm going to just be a coordinator job. And unfortunately, me being Brian Flores, I don't see myself, being a defensive coordinator that long here in Baltimore. That's all. So, if I'm going to bring in a defensive coordinator, I'm going to bring in a young guy that sees himself being here for a while, that sees himself, growing with the team, growing with these players. I mean, hell, Mike McDonald's already had ties in Baltimore, so it made him the easier pick. Now, when it comes to offensive coordinator, I feel like we need to just start fresh, start young, and just have someone actually grow with Lamar Jackson, and just let it ride. Like John Harbaugh in his coaching career literally grew with Joe Flacco, and once Joe Flacco reached his peak, John reached his peak at coaching. Now, when it came to motivation and everything like that, he still got it in him. But when it came to really, being a X's and O's guy or being the leader and everything like that, he reached his peak with Joe in 2018. And he reached his peak as a coach in 2018, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a situation where it's just like, yeah, we know exactly what John Harbaugh is, and he's not going to get better. If he has Lamar Jackson, he's going to be able to win, and he's going to be able to contend. But if he doesn't have Lamar Jackson or a top 5 quarterback like Lamar Jackson, it's going to be rough for him.
Or a strong defense.
Exactly. But let's get into the secondary. There's a lot of players. I've only got 5 cornerbacks. However, a lot of the safeties can also play hybrid at cornerback, so I'm not overly worried about it. I've got Marlon, Marcus, Pepe, Jalen Armour-Davis, and Brandon Stevens at corner. And then the guys that can substitute in at corner is Ardarius Washington, can play slot. But then I've got Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark, and Geno Stone. And I did not have Tony Jefferson on my 53, so.
I can respect that. I'm going to go Marlon, Kyle, Jalen, MP the Juice Man, Brandon Stevens, Pepe. And I'm keeping everybody at safety. I mean, I say Brandon Stevens. So corner-wise, I got 6.
You got 6?
Yeah.
So do you have Daryl Worley?
No.
Or Kevon Seymour?
Neither.
Wait, so who's your
Marlon, Kyle, Jalen, Marcus, Brandon, and Pepe. Those are my 6 corners.
I forgot Kyle Fuller. Kyle Fuller wasn't on the list that I was looking at of the roster. I need to replace. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to our Darius Washington. I knew something was up. Our Darius Washington's not on the team. I forgot. Because the Ravens app deletes your players once you put it in. And so then I had to rewrite them down. And so I looked at the list and I was like, oh, yeah, here it is. I got them all. I'm sorry, our Darius. He did not make the squad. I was like, I can't remember if our Darius made the team or not. I guess he did not. Because I did have Kyle Fuller in there. So,
yeah,
yes.
I'm about to say, if you look at our Darius Washington, I feel like, we're good because we have Brandon Stevens, who was the Swiss Army knife. But I also would like to see Geno Stone play a little bit of free safety because I think he has the ability, he has the ball skills and IQ to play a little bit behind Marcus Williams.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it for the roster. I can share my screen so people can look at. Tony Jefferson already got cut, but I didn't think he was making the team anyway because I just felt like he didn't add a lot to the table. Anyways, all right, let's share screen here. Window. Oh, no, Chrome tab. Oh, I will zoom in. Here we go. You guys see that? There we go. Yeah. There's the roster that I got that I built out. If I wanted to do the roster that I would actually put, I'm cutting Huntley, cutting Jawan James. I'm adding our Darius Washington, and I'm adding Anthony Brown. And I think that's all that I would be doing. Yeah, that's all I would do. So I'll cut Jawan James, add in our Darius, get rid of Huntley. And how you doing, Nose? How you doing?
What's going on?
But, are there any players that you'll say are a lock that maybe, most people wouldn't consider a lock? That you'll be really surprised if they didn't make the team? For me, I would say it's Josh Ross. But do you have any players like that where it's maybe people wouldn't?
I would say Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to be, a really interesting situation.
Either Kyle Fuller or Geno Stone. The Geno Stone will probably catch me off guard more. I mean, yeah, we didn't cut him and brought him back and cut him and brought him back. But, he's shown that he can be an intricate piece to the special teams and also to the defense when his number is called.
Absolutely. Ben Cleveland. The thing is, I think the Ravens, have been pretty honest about Ben Cleveland and their thoughts. He is the future right guard for the Ravens. They just need to wait until Zeitler is no longer under contract, which I think is after this season, because he's obviously better on the right side, because that's where he played all throughout college. That's where he played at Georgia, was right guard. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on Ben Cleveland. So I definitely think he's a lock.
I feel you on that.
Also, I hope there's no spelling errors in this because that would be kind of embarrassing. I did most of it from memory. And I was like, make sure I don't forget anybody. Of course, I still forgot Kyle Fuller. But yeah, in terms of order, if I had to do order-wise, I will go like this. Make sure I can fix it. That's the order there. Order here. And then Kyle Fuller's the slot, so he's in his own category. But that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of what I've got. I would love to start Tyree Phillips though at left guard, though. I thought that was great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but hey, we're just two guys being Ravens fans. It's not too much we can do.
Did the Ravens announce that Hamilton's starting over Clark? If so, that's fantastic because Chuck Clark is wildly overrated, and I don't think he's very good. So I would love it if Kyle Hamilton is actually starting over Chuck Clark. That would be fantastic. I haven't heard that news yet. I know there was a press conference today. I was not able to watch it, so maybe they went over that in there today. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely would be dope. But y'all, I have to step away for a little bit. I'm gonna chat back in if we still streaming. But I thank y'all for coming on. Shout out to the 85 people in the stream. Smash that like button, and y'all have a good week. We will be recording soon, so I'll be back.
Yes. All right. See you later, Joshua. This is an interesting question, Patrick. Most realistically tradable players on the Ravens. I don't know if there are any. I don't know if there's a single player that, is a trade asset. Like my thoughts is like they're more, all of these players are more valuable on the rate. Like, I don't think Huntley possesses very much trade value. Like, if I'm another franchise, I'm not trading for Huntley. As a Ravens fan, I want Huntley to get traded, but I don't think anyone would actually make a deal for Huntley. Then the Ravens have guys that, would have trade value, like Isaiah Likely, Bateman, but they're not trading them. So any player that the Ravens are willing to trade, I don't think they have any value, like, at all. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's any. Maybe Chuck Clark, but I don't think he has very high value. That's kind of my thought. It's like maybe Chuck Clark, but I don't see anybody trading for Chuck Clark. But Ben Powers is our starting guard, most likely. And Geno Stone, I don't think Geno Stone has any trade value. Like, I don't know of any team that's going to trade for a third string safety. Yes, everyone does have value in this world, but at the same time in the NFL cap space world, it's not very much. Because, like, I wouldn't trade a 7th rounder for Geno Stone. But Patrick, you said reasonable. Problem is, I don't know why the Bears wouldn't do that. Like, the Bears don't want Chuck Clark and they don't want Malik Harrison. So, like, I would love to trade him for Roquan, but they wouldn't do that. Unless Lamar Jackson signs the extension, we don't have the cap space for Roquan Smith. Living legend. I do think that he's going to be less blitz happy. I think he's going to rely more on the pass rushers, because Wink Martindale's philosophy was that he doesn't need good pass rushers, which was like the stupidest philosophy I think I've ever heard from a defensive coordinator. But yeah, I think he's going to utilize Adafe a little bit more. And do we keep Welch or Ross? I think we got to keep Josh Ross. I think he looked so good and so instinctive. Where it was like I was watching him and I was like, this guy can play linebacker. Christian Welch barely shows up. Like, if you're watching Ravens, preseason and stuff like that, nobody's watching it and going, man, this Christian Welch guy, this dude's a beast. And Josh Ross is like everywhere, all over the field at all times. Even though he's not the fastest guy, he's not the strongest guy, he was hitting people and he was wrapping up and he was getting tackles. Right. Yeah, that's true. It just depends on when we get our guys back. And yes, Alondo, 100%. Like, it's very clear that he knows Mike Mcdonald's defense, because he came in and it was just like, oh yeah, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He knows where to hit the holes, and he knows exactly what to do. And Lisa, you're 100% correct. Demarcus Robinson was fantastic. Demarcus Robinson looked like he shouldn't have been playing. He was so much better than everyone else. Like, that's how he looked. It was pretty sad. Because I was watching it and I was like, why is he so good? But do you guys have any other? Oh, wow, voice crack. Do you guys have any other takes that. I'm also going live at 8 p.m. over on AFS if you guys want to check that out as well. But that's talking about like top 10 quarterbacks and random overall NFL stuff. But do you guys have any other takes based on 53-man roster Ravens stuff? I'll definitely talk about them. I see still disappointed. Yeah, I agree. Baltimore get up unless he's becoming the Ravens designated returner. I definitely think Hill is in front of him. Sorry, I had to fix that. Christian Welch makes the 53-man roster. That definitely has possibilities. He could definitely take like Steven Means' spot. I don't think he makes it over Josh Ross is my thought process. I think he'll do well because even if let's say he's Ravens receiver number 2. Let's just say that. Best case scenario for him personally, right? He's still not pass catcher 2. He's probably pass catcher 4 in the offense. Teams are focusing in on Mark Andrews, then they're focusing on Bateman, then they're probably focusing on Likely. So he's still going to be able to get behind the defense and still be able to make plays as the unnoticed guy. He is the forgotten weapon that I think a lot of people, hate to go against, right? Because I think guys like Prochet and stuff like that, I love Prochet, but I think, even as the number 4, I don't see him making like absurd plays, game-changing plays as, the 4th pass catcher. Demarcus Robinson can be out there as the 4th pass catcher on any given play and make, an eye-popping play. So I definitely think he'll be able to do well. Now, if the defense is targeting him, Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews are injured in a game, he's going to struggle heavily because he'll be like the main target. But as, the 4th target on an offense, I think, that's what he did with Kansas City. Comes in as, wide receiver 3, for certain plays. They've got Kelsey. And it's just like, oh, boom. He got behind the defense. Everyone's focusing on Hill and Kelsey. There goes Demarcus Robinson. I think that's a great question. Also, very true Captain Gamer. He's like the last person you're thinking about, and he's still explosive. So, I really want Ardarius to make the roster too. I don't see it happening. I would love for the Ravens to not have Juwan James and for them to keep Ardarius Washington. That's how I would get him on the roster. That's what I would do. Well, no, because Quinn's going to be playing the Will and Bynes will be playing the Mike. So he's not getting benched for him. He's just playing on the weak side. Dauncey knows what's up. I said the same thing. Shout out to Dauncey. But yeah, overall, I think I'm super excited for tomorrow. We'll definitely have to go live when the roster gets announced and things like that. I'm going to be working tomorrow morning, so I don't know exactly when I'll be able to go live. I think I got to look up when the 53-man roster release. The benefit is I work mornings, so I get off. Okay, so the roster is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I get off work at 1 p.m. So, could very easily go live, right at 4 p.m. tomorrow just to see who we're going to be able to do things with. But to be able to talk about all the cuts and things like that the Ravens made. But who's playing on the outside besides Peters and Marlowe? I think it's going to be Brandon Stevens. I think it's going to be Pepe. And then in the slot, not Demarcus Robinson, Kyle Fuller. We could see some Chuck Clark in the slot, but I think we definitely keep Kyle Fuller at the slot because we don't really have a slot. Marlon can play in the slot, but he's better on the outside. And Lisa, this is very true. Demarcus Robinson on the Chiefs just destroyed the Ravens because the Ravens were focusing on everyone else. So it's like, that's the problem that's why it's so difficult when you have a guy like that. That can just come in and just shock people, surprise people, get behind the defense because no one's thinking about them. But everyone, I think that's probably going to do it for, tonight's stream. Just wanted to go overall, about the 53-man roster, get our predictions out there. So I think had a lot of fun. Thank you everybody for coming through. Excited for, tomorrow, big day for, so many people, 53 players on the Ravens going to have a great day tomorrow. But hopefully we get the Ravens. Hope he's a Bengal killer, 100%. Hopefully the Ravens make some good moves. Hopefully they extend Lamar. But thank you everybody for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and see all of you again tomorrow with another live stream.